Morning, folks. How you doing? It is it's 12:30, which is later than I usually get online or whatever. But I've had really busy morning, just with all sorts of stuff, revenue, all the rest. Anybody who's been on to me about a favorite Black Swan or anything like it, just try and be patient, please. I'm doing my best to get a VAT number out of revenue. In fairness to them, they're being very good. They've expedited my application process, so hopefully that'll be up and running really soon. So we said we were going to do a junior section or a beginner section, if you like, to get people started into bass fishing. Like bass fishing can be an incredibly expensive game, but it doesn't have to be. Like you don't have to spend a fortune on lures to catch bass, right? You can, and to be honest, I spend money on lures because I kind of enjoy it. I like trying new lures. I like looking around. I like scoping out the internet to see what's out there and da 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 da. But at the end of the day, you don't need that much stuff, right? Like all you need is actually one box of lures to cover the whole situation. And some stuff you can scrimp on, other stuff you can't, right? I said yesterday that I believe tackle is overpriced. I stand by that claim. I do believe it's overpriced. But anyway, nothing I can do about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a beginner's box, right? So it'll be, let me show you, a box this size, double-sided, right? It's going to have some top water in there. It's going to have a couple of hard lures in there. It's going to have some soft plastics in there. It's going to have some hooks, some twist locks, some weighted and unweighted twist locks. It'll have I put some fluorocarbon with it, and any of the other bits and bobs. I can't get it into my head right now, but look, the bits you need are going to be there. So let's talk about lures before we talk about anything else. You walk into your local tackle shop and you can just be bamboozled by the array of stuff that's there and the price of it. Like, I mean, how is any young guy, who's not earning serious money meant to afford any of that? Well, the truth is, you're probably not going to be able to, right? So, Temu and AliExpress are going to be your friend, right? There are knockoff versions of the hard lures that are exceptional and that work just as well, right? I use some of them. I don't use all of them, but I do use some of them, right? One of the ones that springs to mind is the Axia. Like you can buy an Axia version of this lure. Let me show you. Please tell me I have it here. Oh, Jesus, I don't. Typical. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Right? It might be in this box. You never know. Oh! Hey, we're in luck. Alright, okay. So, this is a really famous bass lure, right? The Asturi 110, right? You can see I've ringed it with singles. I'll do a video to show you how to do that as well, right? Why is that useful? Well, it means it can throw it into the weeds and it won't snag up. It also does a lot less damage to the fish. And to be honest, I don't find it affects my hookup rate. But Axia do a copy of that I believe you can buy for somewhere between 7 and 9 euros. That works extremely well. Works really, really well. There are loads of copies of the Pachinko that work really well. Get out there, buy them, right? Don't go spending 30 quid on a lure that, especially if you're starting out, you're going to lose some kits, you're going to snag up, you're going to have wind knots, all of that, right? That's the other thing I want to talk to you about, right, is a reel. So you need a reel that's expensive enough to fish braid, right, that lays the line well enough to fish braid. The problem with cheap reels is that they don't lay the line well, right? When it runs around the spool. So when you're retrieving, right, spool is spinning and it's laying that line down, right? With a cheap reel, it kind of lays it all over the place, right? And then when you go to cast, the whole thing ends up in a bundle. If you're just starting out, and you're quite young, I would recommend you maybe start with a 4-strand braid, right? It's less likely to win knot. No, it won't cast as far. No, it won't be as finesse or as fancy. But yes, it will do the same job, right? I use it pike fishing. It's absolutely fine. I mean, geez, back in the day when we started doing this, we were using monofilament and stuff, and we were hauling bass out of it. So, look, you don't need a €50 spool of Rivas sea bass custom to catch bass, right? So maybe start with a 4-strand, 20-pound breaking strain, 18-pound breaking strain. Maybe go for the 20 because you might get snagged up and stuff, and you want to be able to try and get those lures back, right? So that's what I would say. Do that. Some stuff you are going to have to pay for if you want the quality, right? Buy yourself a packet of these bad boys, right? Buy yourself a packet of X-Layer 4.5 inch, right? Particularly at this time of the year. Sand eel are about to spawn, right? When the sand eels spawn, the bass get super focused on them and they won't feed on anything else, right? So they spawn by burrowing into the sand bars together, right? And then they do their business or what have you, and out come the baby sand eels, right? Just as God intended. But no, I won't say that. I get myself in trouble. Always have a look in the bargain bucket, right, in your tackle shop, because you never know, there might be a gem in there, right? Like there could be a total gem in there. So have a look in the bargain bucket. If you're under 18, right, and you're starting fishing, message me, I'll answer your questions. If you're over 18 and you're starting fishing and you message me and start asking me questions, I'm not replying to you. My inbox is full of people asking me questions about fishing. Like, does your wife ring up the gynecologist and say, come here, I've got a bit of a problem with my yoke, can you help me out? No. Like, the trick is in the name, guided fishing. Like, it's a business. I don't have time. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to make a living. Like, you don't ring up an electrician and say, come here and I tell you what, the lights in my kitchen aren't working. What do you think I should do? Like, do you know what I mean? It's mad. People have a mad kind of attitude towards fishing. It's the minute somebody says they're doing it professionally, they get weird about it. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, that's another day's work. Back to our beginners fishing. Right, here's a lure I would recommend you buy for 2 reasons. 1, it works like stink, right? 2, actually 3 reasons. 2, it is easy to work, right? It's easy to fish, to get working. And 3, it casts like hell, right? That's the IMA salt skimmer, right? You can get it in, that's the silent version. I would get the rattly version to start out, right? I know the Magnum got a lot of stick, but I really like it. It's huge, but I really like it. I can't find it now, I haven't got it here. I think it's fantastic. It flies, like, it's a huge big thing. In September and October, it's going to absolutely murder fishermen. I just know it is, right? Here's another type of lure that you can get for very little money that's going to be very useful to the beginner, right? Metal lures, right? They're very cheap, they're very effective, they're no less effective than a soft plastic. In fact, in certain situations, a metal will outfish anything, right? Now, this is the new custom sea bass from Weston, and it retails at about €7, and to my mind is worth every penny, right? They've thought about their fishing. It's got this assist hook at the top, right? It's got a fine, big, thick, strong hook in the back, right? It's gonna leave the Savage Gear Seeker in the halfpenny place soon enough. I really do believe that, right? Another lure you're going to need to spend some money on are these, right? The Dulai stick, right? I'm sure there are imitations out there, but personally, I would just buy the originals, right? You can buy them in from Japan, right? Well, speaking of which, I'd say that's my parcel from Japan. My dog just went bananas. He's a lunatic, like his owner. But get yourself a packet of those, right? Those are absolute fish killers, right? They'll be in the starter pack anyway. What I'm going to do is I'll probably put 3 in different colours. Like that's Green Thunder, great for the coast. Gold Shiner, brilliant for the estuary, especially on a sunny day. All that stuff. And I'll put in a little leaflet in with the box that says this is what this is what you use it for, etc., etc. Right? These are a little harder. This is what I'm talking about, bargains, right? That's Daiwa Sea Bass Hunter, 90. I picked that up for €5 in a flash sale on a Japanese site. I bought 10 of them, and it has absolutely murdered fishing me. I mean, some brilliant lure. That's what the fish sees, right? Because it's looking up. It sees the pink flashing over its head, right? It's got a lovely rattle. Listen to it. It's a fish caller. Arthur, come here. Now, chill out. Okay. Jeez, he really is worked up. There must be somebody outside. Now, here's the next lure I'm going to show you. Very famous, right? The Feed Shallow. There are definitely imitations of this lure. I think Shamrock Lures do an imitation of this. That is really, really good. Strike Pro. Keith Donnelly sent me a message. I didn't fully get to read it because I was busy, but he has one for me. Do an imitation. But that's a great lure, right? Now that's €30. That's a lot of money. So have a look for a good imitation. I will post on tomorrow if I find anything that I think is worth copying that fella. The next one up is the Megabass X140, right? My favourite hard lure of all time. That thing is just a legend of a lure. It just catches fish after fish after fish. I couldn't tell you how many years old that is. I mean, it has just been hammered, and look at the state of it. Like, you know, the fish don't give a damn. They just nail that thing, right? So, yeah. Anything else? Oh, yeah. And then we have the needles, but we might leave those for another day. They might be a little bit much for the very beginners, right? But let's talk about those another day, that type of fishing. Get yourself a bag of tiki sticks, and finally, Mick in Evo Bass, right? Get the Evo Bass lures. They're just bass layers, and you don't have to do anything but just cast them out, let them wash around in the current, stay in touch with them, reeling them in, and you'll feel the bass will just wallop it, like, and you just give them a strike, and on you go. So that's it, really. That's an idea to get you started, right? Give me some time to pull those boxes together, and I'll see what we can do price-wise and everything else. We'll keep them as cheap as we can, especially for the younger guys. Anything to promote this sport, anything to get young people into fishing, anything to get them away from being stuck in front of that computer, just sitting there turning into a vegetable, like. yeah, so that's it, right? Tomorrow we're going to talk about rods and reels. Today was lures, right? Um, to my mind, probably 100 quid. Like if you had 100 quid, you could definitely have you'd have top water, you'd have hard lures, you'd have soft lures, you'd have hooks, you'd have fluorocarbon, you'd have all of that stuff, right? 80 quid will now get you a really good quality 9 foot rod, right? And then a little over 100 for a reel. So it's a bit of money, but it's not beyond doable, right? So tomorrow, let's talk a bit more about that. I hope today was helpful for the beginner. As I say, if you're under 18, you have questions, send them on to me. I will answer them. Other than that, tight lines, everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. I'm going fishing.